Hi friends, I'm Scott Giles and welcome to Power Talk, my podcast here on Facebook Live and YouTube. I cover topics related to spirituality, hypnotic coaching, and the hypnotic arts and sciences in general. If you'd like to know more about my professional work or sign up for my free e-newsletter, Power Lines, check out my website, which I'll tag at the end of this video. Well, my podcast today is about prayer. Now, obviously, as a member of the clergy, I think prayer is important. Like many, I believe one of the primary powers of prayer is its ability to affect the person who is doing the praying. Being a prayerful person actually makes one a better person. Now, this podcast was inspired by a recent article written by Eileen Daspin in Real Simple magazine. However, that said, for decades I've followed the work of scientists to see if prayer has a measurable outcome. I followed the work of the National Institutes of Health in this subject with great care. The results have been, to put it mildly, mixed. In the 1990s, Dr. Herbert Benson at Harvard, a researcher whose work I have followed extensively, led a research project which randomly assigned cardiac patients to three groups. One group received prayers for healing and knew that they were being prayed for. The second group received prayers but did not know that they were being prayed for, and the third was a control group for which nothing was done. The published results in 2006 showed that the people who knew they were being prayed for actually had worse outcomes, probably because of the disappointment. They hoped for a miracle which did not appear. The second and control groups had basically the same outcomes. So the conclusion is that being prayed for doesn't really make a difference in medical outcomes. Now, in more recent times, researchers have shifted their focus about prayer research. Instead of focusing on whether or not prayer changes the external world, they focused on how prayer changes the person doing the praying. And this is where the results actually showed up. So praying may not help someone else, but it does help you. Examples of this are studies like Efficiency of Prayer in Inducing Immediate Physiological Changes by Felix Chin, published National Library of Medicine, February 2021, or Marilyn Schultz's article, Meditation, Prayer, and Spiritual Healing, The Evidence, in the Permanente Journal for the summer of 2005. And there are many more studies. Simply, prayer or any other spiritual activity helps people process what is going on in their lives. There is actually an emerging field called neurotheology, which explores the actual connection between a person's spiritual life and their brain activity. For example, the brain appears to react chemically to prayers with alteration in the levels of the hormones serotonin and dopamine. And dopamine is the brain's reward hormone, and anything that encourages its relief can be helpful for stress. This may be why prayer is, so much a part of 12-step programs, as it can help someone deal with the biochemical effects of addiction. Now, according to Andrew Newberg, who's a medical doctor and who directs the Marcus Institute of Integrative Health at Thomas Jefferson University Hospital in Philadelphia, a regular prayer life, in addition to anything else it might do, does help improve mood, untangle complex relationships, and helps clarify thought, as those things can be measured using standard psychological instruments. Mostly, they seem to involve alterations in the prefrontal cortex of the brain where our more complex thinking happens. Now, to do this kind of research, the neurotheologians have used functional brain scans to study the brains of nuns, Buddhist monks, Sufi mystics, and others. The discovery is that intense prayer or spiritual activity actually causes structural changes in the brain that alter the way reality is perceived and the way thoughts are processed. And there isn't anything supernatural about this. Atheists who meditate on positive things turn out to receive similar benefits. This latter, that the benefits of a spiritual life, or in the case of atheists, a philosophical life, appear to be non-denominational and non-specific. And that may explain the rise of the popularity of alternative spiritual practices in our time. Now, there are a lot of implications for findings like this. For example, couples who pray for each other tend to have better relationships, not because the prayer is changing the partner, but because it encourages the two partners to relate to each other more positively. And there are no hard and fast rules about how to do this. You can be in any prayer position you want or none at all. You can use any words or images you want or none at all. The statistical sweet spot for outcomes is to engage in such spiritual or philosophical exercises about 15 minutes per day. But some benefit is received even if you do just a brief moment of positive intention, what is sometimes called an arrow prayer, where you just focus briefly on a positive intention, like shooting an arrow at a target, and then just let it go. So spiritual activities do matter. What you do in those activities matters less than the fact that you do something. Even if you don't believe in religion at all, a positive mental attitude exercise will provide you with the same benefit. So keep that in mind as you plan your day. I know that I do. So thank you for your time and attention today. I'll be back next week with another talk on a different subject. I'd like to invite you to join me. It helps me a lot if you let others know about my work and my videos. So please like, share, and subscribe. And if I can be of help to you, feel free to reach out through email, my website, or my Patreon channel. And have a great week.